The Great Wall of China is one of the most grandiose structures in human history. Its official purpose has long been known: to protect China from nomadic tribes. However, upon closer examination of the wall's structure, numerous questions arise that make one wonder. Was it really built solely for protection against people? Historical chronicles state that construction of the wall began as early as the 3rd century BCE during the reign of the Qin dynasty. Later, under various emperors, it was extended and reinforced until it reached an impressive 21,196 kilometers. It all seems logical. China was defending itself from nomads, and the wall was meant to serve as a reliable barrier. But when examining its peculiarities, details emerge that do not fit this version. The first oddity is the direction of the embrasures. Logically, they should face outward, toward where enemies might approach. However, a significant portion of them are directed toward China. Why build fortifications that seem to protect invaders rather than China itself? Could the enemy have been inside rather than outside? The second mystery is the gaps in the wall. In some places, it is truly impenetrable. Powerful sections, high sheer walls, narrow passageways. Yet in others, there are open areas that can be easily crossed. If the wall was built exclusively against human threats, such breaches would render it meaningless. Why weaken the line of defense? Were these gaps created intentionally? The third anomaly is the sections where the walls run parallel. In some areas, there are 2, sometimes even 3 walls running side by side. If nomads were indeed the primary threat, why construct multiple defense lines in some regions while leaving open passages in others? From a military strategy standpoint, this seems illogical. Finally, another astonishing fact is the wall's placement. It extends even across mountain ridges, climbing to inaccessible peaks. It is logical to ask, if the wall was meant to protect against nomads, why build it in places they simply could not reach on horseback? Who or what was this grand structure truly meant to oppose? All these details lead to an intriguing thought. Perhaps the official version is only part of the story. Maybe the wall was not built to defend against nomads at all, but rather against something else, something far more terrifying. Ancient legends and myths contain tales of creatures that may have posed a threat to humans. Could this be true? The answers lie within the wall itself, its stones, ancient texts, and artifacts. If the Great Wall of China was not built solely for protection against nomads, then who actually constructed it? And more importantly, against whom? One of the most unusual theories is linked to a mysterious people rarely mentioned in official chronicles. They were called the Tartars. There is a hypothesis that the Tartars were a powerful civilization occupying vast territories across Eurasia. Ancient sources contain references to a people possessing incredible knowledge in construction, metallurgy, and even technologies that defy explanation by conventional history. But what is most intriguing is that it may have been the Tartars, not the Chinese, who were the true builders of the Great Wall. Several indirect pieces of evidence point to this. First and foremost, the construction materials. In some places, the wall is made of massive blocks, perfectly fitted together as if processed by modern machinery. Meanwhile, other sections consist of less durable materials, as if they were added much later. Could it be that the original builders had knowledge that was later lost? Another curious detail is old maps. On some of them, China and the surrounding lands are marked differently than we are accustomed to seeing. There are references to Great Tartary, a powerful state that, according to alternative sources, existed in these territories until the 19th century. If this is true, then it suggests that the Tartars may have built the wall, not to defend against nomads, but against something far more dangerous. But what exactly were the Tartars protecting themselves from? This is where the theories become even more enigmatic. Some ancient Chinese chronicles mention faceless beings that attacked settlements and wiped out entire villages. According to descriptions, they moved swiftly, were stronger than an ordinary human, and appeared as if from nowhere. Could these creatures have come from what is now China, with the wall serving as a barrier not for people, but for something else entirely? It is difficult to say how accurate these assumptions are, but one thing is certain. Official history omits many details that could shed light on the true purpose of the wall. To understand the true purpose of the Great Wall of China, one must look into ancient chronicles and myths, which often hold the keys to unraveling the mysteries of the past. Chinese historical records, as well as the writings of European travelers, contain enigmatic descriptions that might shed light on its real function. One of the most mysterious sources is the Shanhai Jing, an ancient Chinese text detailing lands, peoples, and creatures that once inhabited ancient China. Within its pages, one can find references to mysterious beings called Yin-Shi, shadow serpents, that could move silently in the night and attack humans. The chronicles also mention eyeless monsters that emerged from dense forests and caves. But the strangest part? Some chronicles tell of cities that vanished without a trace. There are accounts of entire settlements abandoned by their inhabitants, as if people simply disappeared. Could it be that the Great Wall was built not to defend against ordinary enemies, but to contain these mysterious entities? And it's not just Chinese sources that mention such things. Marco Polo, the famous traveler of the 13th century, wrote in his notes about great fortresses protecting China not so much from people, but from something else. He described how, in certain regions of China, locals avoided specific places, claiming that one could hear the voices of ancestors there. Even today, some areas along the wall are off-limits to tourists at night due to strange sounds in the dark. Modern researchers studying archaeological findings also encounter anomalies. In certain sections of the wall, they have discovered strange imprints on the stones, marks resembling claw scratches. Some parts of the wall appear to have suffered severe damage, not from time or earthquakes, but from some powerful external force. All these pieces of evidence raise a haunting question. What if the wall truly served as a barrier, not for humans, but for something that was never meant to enter ancient China? Perhaps the official chronicles conceal more than we realize, and the answer lies hidden within forgotten myths and legends. If the Great Wall of China was not built to defend against humans, what architectural features might support this theory? A closer examination of the structure reveals a number of peculiar details that do not fit traditional military defense strategies. The first striking anomaly is the positioning of the arrow slits. In most fortifications around the world, these openings are directed outward toward the enemy. However, in many sections of the Great Wall, they are facing inward toward China itself. This seems illogical if the threat was external. Could it be that the defenders of the wall were preparing to fight something that was already inside the country? The second mystery is the presence of multiple gaps in the wall. Some sections are not a single continuous barrier, but consist of several parallel walls, separated by dozens of meters. If the wall was meant to keep out nomadic horsemen, this design would be ineffective. They could simply ride around these obstacles. However, if the purpose was to contain something else, these barriers might have been part of a containment system, preventing an unknown threat from spreading further. The third oddity is the location of the wall on mountain ridges. Constructing such a structure on steep cliffs was an incredibly difficult task. But why go through such immense effort? Nomadic invaders on horseback would not have been able to traverse these areas anyway, making fortifications in these locations seemingly unnecessary. However, if the threat came from creatures capable of overcoming standard obstacles and moving across rough terrain, then the builder's choice of these difficult locations begins to make sense. Another curious fact is the absence of detailed historical records regarding the number of workers who perished during the wall's construction. We know that the project spanned centuries, yet accounts of mass deaths are scarce. Was this information deliberately erased? Or could the true cause of the losses have been something far more terrifying than just harsh labor conditions? Finally, there is evidence that certain sections of the wall were reinforced long after the main construction was completed. But if the nomads had ceased to be a major threat by then, why was there a need to strengthen the defenses? Perhaps the reason lay not in the fear of human enemies, but in something else, something that continued to inspire dread for centuries to come. Centuries have passed, yet the Great Wall of China still holds its secrets. Researchers and tourists visiting the wall often encounter unexplained phenomena. What if its true purpose is still relevant today? One of the mysteries is the strange sounds emanating from deep within the wall. Some witnesses claim to have heard muffled pounding, as if something or someone is trying to break free from the inside. In areas where the wall is damaged, mysterious flashes of light have been reported, and electronic devices frequently malfunction, as if exposed to a strong electromagnetic field. There's also a series of testimonies from local residents living near the wall. They speak of shadowy figures that appear along the wall at night, moving against the wind. These figures are completely silent, but invoke an inexplicable fear in those who see them. Some believe these are the spirits of ancient builders, but another theory suggests a more chilling possibility. Could these be remnants of the entities the wall was once meant to contain? Scientists have not ignored these mysteries either. In recent years, archaeologists have discovered hidden underground tunnels beneath certain sections of the wall. Their origins remain unknown, but their size suggests they were not made for humans. In some of these tunnels, researchers have found claw marks on the stone walls, as if something had tried to claw its way through solid rock. Modern technology allows researchers to examine the wall in incredible detail, yet the more they uncover, the more questions arise. For example, in some areas, the stonework is so resilient that even modern tools struggle to break it down. How did ancient builders achieve such a feat? One of the most intriguing discoveries is an ancient manuscript found in a watchtower. It speaks of monsters from the abyss that were sealed behind the wall. The document dates back to the Ming Dynasty, but its authenticity remains a topic of debate. If any of this is true, then the Great Wall is not just a historical monument, it could be an ancient seal, holding back something that must never be released. The only question is, what happens if its protection weakens? This concludes our investigation, but the mysteries of the Great Wall remain. Perhaps one day, the truth will be revealed, but are we ready to accept it? Subscribe to the channel and leave a like. It would mean a lot to me to know that you enjoy and find my work interesting.